Hello, this is Dan speaking.
Hi, Dan. How are you? This is Alex Kamel with Catalyst Creators. No, I'm catching you here without an appointment, but I wanted to see if I can take 23 seconds, tell you why I called, and then let me know if it's fair to keep talking. Does this sound good?
All right, you got 20 seconds.
All right, Dan. I appreciate that. So like I said, my name is Alex. I'm with Catalyst Creators. Reach out to CEOs and CMOs for marketing agencies and companies. And typically when I'm talking to them, there are usually 1 to 2 problems or challenges that they run into. One is they know they need more appointments, but don't have a proven outbound system or the time or team to run one. Or they do have a sales team, but they lack structure, leads, maybe even scripts and systems to generate consistent results. So most of them are usually pouring money into paid ads, looking for a more controlled, performance-based way to grow. So with where you're at right now, Dan, is booking more appointments through an agency or in-house more relevant to you?
Through an agency or in-house? What do you mean by in-house?
So do you have a sales team that you guys already have established in-house that does outreach and outbound messaging, or do you guys have or look for an agency to do that kind of messaging for you to then be able to bring
it's all in-house.
Okay. All right. Absolutely. Now, within the consistency of leads that you guys are bringing in, are you guys doing that through complete outreach, word of mouth, paid ads? What does that look like for you?
Not really ads, but otherwise any other kind of networking and outreach we can do.
Okay. All right. So do you guys run a cold email system or any kind of cold outreach that you guys do?
It's not through a CRM. We do it individually.
Okay. One by one. All right. And within that system, if you're doing it individually, so how many emails, calls would you guys say out your team gets around a day? And what numbers do you guys bring in terms of like book calls that you guys want to bring in per month?
I would say we're getting out, well, the goal is 100 a week. It's usually LinkedIn outreach. It tends to end up as more like 70 or 75. And I mean, if we could get one in the pipeline a week that's actually serious, that would be pretty good.
Okay. All right. Totally understand. So you're getting around 75 outreaches through LinkedIn, and then you're trying to bring in maybe one a week then from that. So what would be your average ticket size for someone that is serious?
I don't know what you mean by ticket size.
How much do you charge for your services?
Around $3,500 a month.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Totally reasonable for that. All right. Understood. And yeah, just wanted to be able to tell you a little bit about us, just give you, I guess, a 30,000 foot view of what we do here at Catalyst Creators. So I wanted to ask those questions to be able to understand the outreach. Now we are a service-based SaaS, so we craft messages for email and LinkedIn as well to be able to send out messages in bulk, but also personalization. So we handle cold email campaigns for different marketing agencies to be able to send out around 500 to 1,000 emails a day. But while we send out that much volume, we also use personalization AIs such as Clay, where we're then able to get a lot of information from competitors and prospects' websites. So every message is very personalized and not just a plain old 2015 cold email compared to most. So just wanted to kind of get that part across. We usually have around that 500 to 1,000 emails we do a day, and then around 25 to 30 messages on LinkedIn a day through our system per account that we run. So just wanted to see if that would be something that you guys potentially looking at. Now, we typically book around 5 to 10 qualified sales calls a month that we are able to do for clients, particularly within marketing as well.
So a couple of thoughts on this. You definitely are speaking to a pain point. When I have received messages, emails or whatever, that are clearly supposed to be personalized. So, somebody took something from our website and they ran it through AI or whatever they did in such a way that I'm supposed to think that they spent some time studying us and know something about us. It's very clearly AI generated, and I can spot that a mile away. And so I need to know what is it about the way you do it that wouldn't be like that.
Right. Absolutely. And great question. So the way that we approach it is we take it through a service called Clay, where we are able to then go into the system, be able to look up specific information about the company, get that, and then of course model it after the AI where it takes individual information from each website. So what most people on cold email do is they'll say, "Hi, noticed you're a marketing company and we do this service. Are you interested?" Where it's not really taking any personalized information. It's just saying, enter first name here, enter company name here. Mm-hmm. But what we do is we use our system to be able to scrape something that we find most advantageous is testimonials, case studies, where we say, "Hey, saw you worked with this company and we're able to get these kinds of results." We specialize in being able to bring these kinds of leads or being able to use paid ads to be able to help leverage these kinds of companies that you are ideally working with. Is that something worth your time? Would that be something worth your time where we go into a personalization and then at the end, the call to action is a bit softer, where maybe we're leading with some value up front. Maybe we are just asking straight for a call. If it's, would this be worth 15 minutes of your time? Something like that. I guess the best way to think about it is when I said if you had 23 seconds for me to explain in the beginning. But that's really a lot of the personalization that we use. Now, through the process, what we do in terms of running it is we build out all of the domains for you. We build out all the email inboxes. Then we go and find the leads for you and then build out the scripts. And before launch, we are getting on the phone with you pre-launch call where we're showing you, Dan, these are the people we want to target. These are the scripts that we have for each person. This is how we came up with it, and getting your approval before we send out those messages.
How do you charge?
So we use two models. Now we have a retainer model and we use a pay per performance. So it's really whatever you feel more comfortable with. There are benefits and there are positives and negatives of both sides. Now, if you wanted to send out 500 emails a day, Monday to Friday, we do if we're talking about the pay per lead model, we'll do $500 a month to be able to keep up with costs such as the domains, the leads, things like that. And then we'll do $300 per qualified booked call that we will get you on. Now, if you wanted to do the retainer model, we would do $1,500 a month for that flat. Now, if you wanted to send 1,000 emails a day, Monday to Friday, we would do $950 a month plus $300 per qualified lead or qualified booked call, and then $2,500 if you wanted to talk about the flat retainer.
Okay. So I'll tell you that I do have some interest. Mm-hmm. I will tell you the problems I'm having with it.
Sure.
One is we're trying to sell a very specific set of services. Mm-hmm. We're trying to sell monthly newsletters that we will do for companies, along with support for their blog posts and web copy and press releases and white papers and things of that nature. It's a very specific targeted group that's going to be interested in this. And mm-hmm. in my experience, you have to talk to a lot of people to get, because I mean, right now I'm trying to find probably 5 new clients at the level that I mentioned. And right. It's not unusual to have to talk to 10 companies to get one to buy. And so that's just kind of baked into the process. So I'd be a little concerned about paying $300 per call when there's a pretty good chance 9 of them are not going to become clients.
I understand.
Yeah, that'd be the first issue.
I understand. If I can just speak to that point.
Sure.
So what we do within the qualified calls and what we like to do is, of course, going into it, we're going to be setting up everything from the initial outreach all the way to booking the call. We like to book on something like Calendly, where the lead that we will book in for you will be able to answer some qualifying questions. So let's say I'll call you up today, say, "Hey, Dan, you got a call on Friday." You go to the Calendly, you look at the questions that you put to make sure that each person that answers the questions are qualified. And if you say, "Alex, I get you booked me this call on Friday, but this person just does not fit our model. I don't want to take this call." You don't take the call and we don't charge you. We only charge if you're getting on the phone and this is someone that's qualified for you. Okay. Now, in terms of the, sorry, I'll let you get back to the other point that you had. I think you had another hesitation. Was that correct?
Trying to remember what it was. At the moment, I don't remember.
Okay. And in terms of so you want to sell monthly newsletters, press releases, a lot of content-based, of course, marketing. For that, what would you say is the perfect ideal client and ICP for you? So we'll be able to focus in on that TAM.
I'd say it's a growing mid-sized company.
Okay.
That is, it could be a technology company, it could be a manufacturer. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of news to share, and we're trying to get people that are interested in focusing on nurturing their existing relationships, to nurture referrals and things of that nature. So business to business clients, definitely. I don't mind startups, but startups tend to be unstable. I like to work with companies that are maybe 5, 7, 10 years and growing, where we either can work directly with a CEO or with a very strong CMO.
Okay, absolutely. And when you say growing, mid-sized company, do you have a team size that you would put that number on?
Yeah, I mean, it depends somewhat on the sector. I mean, a mid-sized manufacturer could be 200 employees, whereas a mid-sized professional service firm could be 10 to 15.
Right. Okay. All right. Absolutely. Can be able to hone in on those points as well. And that's something we'll be particularly able to handle in terms of how we'll do it. So I guess just spitballing on just where my mind is going within those two different sectors is what we would do for you is we would probably, let's say, for example, you wanted to do 1,000 emails per day. So what we would do is we would build out the lead list, let's say we're going for tech and manufacturing. Let's say for argument's sake that the TAMs are very similar sized, 20,000, 50,000 total addressable markets that we're working with each. We will create 2 separate campaigns where we'll be sending 500 emails a day to one side, 500 emails a day to the other side. So we would not just bunch them all together, and we would just have more specific messaging. So we're able to do different industries at once, and we'll just simply create different campaigns for each one.
Okay. Well, I got to give you this, Alex. It's been a long time since I got this far in a cold call that I received, and I was actually still interested in talking to the guy. So you've done a pretty good job. I'm very seriously thinking about giving this a try. I spend an awful lot of my time building lists, reaching out, sending follow-ups. If this actually was effective, it would be worth the money we're talking about. It would have to be effective kind of quickly because I'm not in a position where I could bleed cash on something like this for months on end.
So in terms of how we run it, we typically, of course, with building out the emails, we have to right away, let's say we were to sign up today, I'll just walk you through the process. We would need to, on our end, we would immediately buy up your domains. So let's say, for argument's sake, if you wanted to start at just 500 emails a day, we would buy enough domains to run around 25 inboxes where we'd be sending out 20 emails a day from there. So we would be sending out those 500 emails a day. Now, that would take 14 days to be able to warm up the emails because when you first create the emails, you're already flagged. So you warm them up for a 14-day process. So the first month is initially where you're paying for the tech fee and the setup, and then I'm setting those up over a 14 to 17-day process. Okay. So from signing, we're starting the campaigns 14 to 17 days from there. Just to clarify that. And then what we usually do under contract is we have a 3-month minimum that we do. So just to make sure that we have the time and runway to be able to create an effective campaign, we're able to then run it for just a 3-month process. So you'll be able to get full understanding, of course, of how it runs and be able to see the possibilities. Now, of course, we'll be able to give you data on what people are responding to, what people are responding less to of course, help validate some messaging that you guys are working with and, of course, are able to see from our side with scripting. So I would not tell you that month 1 we're going to bring you 10 leads and you're going to have 5 sales, because it does take about half that first month to be able to build out the campaign. We are able to go on just a 3-month process, so you'll be able to get an understanding of it. And we've had clients start out at the 500 a month plus 300 per qualified lead in the beginning to just, of course, get a feel for it as well. So that is something that we are able to do.
Okay. I remembered what my other concern was.
Okay.
I don't know if it's so much of a concern, but it's just something that I want to talk to you about. I'm a writer. That's what I do. I write email campaigns for clients, and I know how I like to talk about my company. Then when I come upon people who do for a living what you do, there's a very formulaic, data tested, analytics influenced way that they like to word these whole things. And without trying to be dismissive of all of that, because I understand that there's something behind it, I tend to trust my instincts when it comes to how I like to talk about my company. So there's a pretty good chance that any copy that's sent to me for approval is going to come back pretty heavily rewritten.
Okay, totally understand.
Not that I'm sure whoever writes these things for you, they're very well qualified and all that. And I suppose it's also possible that I send you back something rewritten and you guys are like, well, you might like this, but here's why we don't think this will get engagement, and we have a conversation about it, and that's okay. But I did want you to know that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? It's funny because I started out within content marketing. First of all, I'll be writing these myself as well, so we'll be able to have a dialogue on it too. I totally understand what you mean, because it's almost the art of it, the art of how you perceive your company and then want to talk about it, and then it's also on the same note within particularly cold messaging. A lot of things that I've learned myself is you want to just be able to simplify the message and make it, I guess, simple, not sexy, in the terms of being able to reach out to people. In terms of, I guess, an example that I had was I used to do a pitch that say, we could do the work of 8 employees while costing you less than 1 salary. Now, that sounds really nice and pretty, but people are not able to understand what I do with that messaging. But if I say we set up an outbound system to help you reach out to hundreds, thousands of potential candidates automatically while having a central place, you can respond to them, they're able to understand more the utility of that. So I totally understand what you're saying by having your messaging out, and that's exactly what we'll do. Is I'll send you the scripting that I have. Say, you know what, Alex, I don't think this matches with the brand, with what we're doing here. This is why I think that, and then we have a dialogue about it, and we come up with something that works, that we think is effective, and think matches your voice and your company's mission as well.
Tell me again the name of your company, Alex.
Catalyst Creators.
Catalyst. Okay, got it. Okay, here's what I want to ask you to do.
Sure.
Can you? Because I need to think about this a little bit, and I need to look at my cash flow and make sure that I'm not putting myself in harm's way if I try this. Can you call me back on let's say Monday? What part of the country are you in?
I'm in New York, Long Island.
Okay. Can you call me back Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time? Monday
at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. That is something I can do. Absolutely.
Okay. Let me think about this. I'm intrigued by it. I can't afford to try it and have it not get results. And I understand what you said about the timing in the 14 to 17 days, so don't worry about that. But I've poured money. I have poured money down rabbit holes before in other ventures,
Absolutely.
with people who really sounded like they knew how to do this and everything, and it was just lost. And I can't afford to have that happen.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Definitely putting money in places where it doesn't work sometimes, I feel like I've heard is like almost a rite of passage of things that I've done as well. So I totally understand that. Would you like the call to be Zoom, or you're totally fine just having a call over the phone? What works best for you? Because I can
Zoom call's fine.
Okay, awesome. So I'll book in a Zoom for us at 2:00 on June 2nd, Monday, and I'll be able to.
You need an email address to send me an invite?
That would be awesome.
All right, tell me when you're ready.
Ready.
At.
Nice and easy. All right. Oh, there you are. All right, perfect. So I have that information. I'll be able to send that Zoom over real soon, and then we'll be able to take it from there. But Dan, if you have any other questions, you can always just shoot me a quick text. We don't need to be so formal over email as well. So if you have a question, let's say tonight, tomorrow, anytime before Monday, give me a quick text. I can answer it nice and simple. Yeah, this number.
Okay, got it.
All right. Awesome,
All
Dan.
right.
Well, it was great talking to you, and looking forward to talking more on Monday.
Yeah, great talking to you too, Alex. Have a good weekend. I'll talk to you Monday.
You too. See ya.
Okay, bye.